How do we see the promise that so many people have tried to lie about and say is not there? How do we actually actualize the efforts that we're talking about? And here we talk about uplifting Black men and boys. So I could not think of any better place for this convening to be than here in Louisville, the epicenter of Black male achievement.
That your promise of place is wherever you decide to take a stand, right? And sometimes we leave cities and go on conferences and go on panels and we take stands and we get big and bad and bold, but when we're in our own cities, we don't take those risks, right? And some of us have the attitude that we're gonna change the world. And it's good to have that attitude. But if we can't change a 20-mile square radius in our own cities, how are we gonna change the world, right? Our promise of place is where we take a stand.
But what we want to be able to do is elevate a framework that cities can begin to use to help really pull together their work and move the needle in a deeper way with respect to Black male achievement work in their city. And that framework is through the 8 field building blocks.
How many of you have had a carton of milk in the refrigerator that expired in 2015? That's the leadership in our city and a lot of cities, y'all. There's some expired leadership. And we gotta move these people out of the way so we can create pipeline of young leaders.
This has to be something that's over several generations, all right? Not just 3 to 5 years, as most plans that we put together, 3 to 5 years. No, we need to look toward the future.
The radical collaboration is we got to get out our comfort zones. We got to get out of our scarcity mindset that if I share with you, you won't get any. There's a lot of shallow end collaboration and partnership. Radical collaboration, we got to go in the deep end.
I'm here to remind you that your self-care is important. Why? Because the young people are not just listening to what you're saying, they are looking at how you live.
You get people who are self-motivated, you don't have to worry about accountability. There is no grant funder, there is no boss who can hold me to work harder than I want to work for our kids. Not one. And so I say that to say, let's not get confused, because this is not about data to show our impact so that we're accountable. This is data so we can learn and so we can do better, because our kids deserve that.
I believe there's a huge disconnect between politics and youth. I believe there's a huge disconnect between nonprofits and youth. I believe there's a huge disconnect between education officials and youth. We're not at the table. Y'all not hearing from us. We get tokenized, right? We hear those key stories that fit a narrative and check off the checklist.
Who are the groups that are most poised to do the heavy lifting, but they need both technical support and then they need financial resources. They just don't need money. And many of the groups will tell you that they need technical assistance. They need an understanding of government, sustainability.
I am very curious about how to use that divest invest frame to begin to wrest money from those systems that are overfunded within city government, and to reinvest that money into the community in ways that will produce the results.
Okay, this is mainstream work. This is restorative work. This is justice work. So that when they think about what's important in their cities and our country, they're going to be asking, how are we doing with young men and boys of color work? That's really important to the future of our cities and our country.
Because as soon as you're gone, who is going to take your place? Who's going to continue this great work? Nobody. Nobody is going to step up if you don't teach anybody how to do it. And it's hard to teach yourself, because I'm sure most of you had to do it. And we can't do that consistently as a community, and we can see that it's failing. It's not a system that works. You have to be able to go out there and teach people.
For all of those brothers and sisters who died during the civil rights movement, the Black Power era, we say, I say,
the cavalry's not coming with a Brinks truck. They're not coming. So we got to figure out who's doing the work, who's getting a good return on investment. And I think if we turn to our real grassroots, the people that are in the community, they can get it done for far less.
Let's give ourselves a standing ovation that tells us that after today, things are not going to be the same. A standing ovation that tells us that when we leave here and go back to our respective cities, our imaginations will be stretched, Our courage will be stretched. Our collaborations will be tightened and thicker. A collaboration saying that we have got so much more work to do.